So Gabor, I'm so excited to play Bartók Concerto with you.
Me too.
And especially excited because, well, you're Hungarian, you're sort of immersed in this music, and you have a very direct connection with Bartók in a way, knowing so many musicians that worked with him. Can you tell us?
Yes, I played in a string quartet, in the Takács quartet, and in the 80s, we spent 4 months in BEM Center. This was one of the greatest 4 months of my whole life.
Wow.
And worked with Zoltán Székely, Hungarian origin violinist, who was close friend of Bartók, who got the second violin concerto from him. And they played many, many times together. Even he was the one who taught Bartók to play tennis. He showed me his album. They were close friends. So it was an unbelievable honor and luck in my life.
The Bartók First Violin Concerto is really an amazing piece in the violin repertoire and has a very special and touching story behind it. Bartók was in his late 20s when he wrote this piece, so sort of at the beginning of his compositional career, before he found his, the voice that we know as Bartók. And he wrote this piece for a woman he was in love with and we think maybe had a relationship with for a while, named Stefi Geyer. And Steffi was an amazing violinist. And actually, eventually, 3 composers wrote violin concertos for her, which is I find interesting. But Bartók was madly in love with her, and so this piece, you can tell it's of a very personal nature. The first movement is very romantic sounding. And the second movement is very humorous and quirky.
7 months he took 7 months composing this piece, but during these 7 months, Bartók sent letters to the girl, and Bartók was not a believer, wasn't religious, the girl was,
Right.
and Bartók writes long philosophical essays why you don't have to wait for somebody else helping you. And this one shocked the girl,
Right.
and refused Bartók's approach. So it's not me, but a musicologist saying the last movement sometimes has sarcastic humor and very strange atmosphere, which is not a love letter or declaration, and musicologists saying that Bartók already knew that is negative, the answer from the girl.
Actually, I read somewhere that he said to her in the process of writing that he had found the perfect music for his love for her and for her sort of
Yes.
elegance, and then he found some music for her quirky humor, and then there was another kind of music he had yet to write, but that it was going to, if he could write it, it would be the cold, ugly side of her. And I
Yes.
think that was as he
This
was
was,
already
yes.
figuring out that
Yes.
this relationship was
Yes,
going
exactly.
south. Yeah. Bartók gave Steffi the composition just after they split, it sounds like. And she put it away in a drawer when she was 19 years old, and then she died in her 70s, and the piece was still in the drawer. So it's kind of shocking that one of the works of the greatest composers sat unplayed, really unknown, for over 50 years.
Later, they did not have any contact for 20-25 years, and later Stefi Geyer married a Swiss doctor in Zurich. And in the 1930s, again they got friendship between Bartók and Stefi Geyer, and they even gave sonata evenings together in Switzerland.
Wow.
And when Bartók left for emigration for the United States in 1940 from Lisbon to New York, it was Stefi Geyer who bought the ticket.
Wow.
And helped him and his wife. Of course, Bartók gave back the money, but the whole organization was Stefi Geyer. Nobody knows why she did not play in her life. She was a brilliant violinist.
I was just going to say, it makes you wonder why this concerto went into a drawer and stayed there for so many
Because she
years.
refused him.
the concerto is called the First Violin Concerto. Bartók then wrote another violin concerto, which is simply called Bartók Violin Concerto, and that's the famous one. This is very different in nature and really explores Bartók's early compositional style before he found the voice that we know as Bartók today. There's a lot of romantic elements. You can hear some Strauss in it. Probably influences of all the composers he was surrounding himself with at that time.
By the time she came to terms with their relationship, maybe her playing wasn't what it would have been when she was 19.
Exactly. And I know Heinz Schneeberger, a brilliant Swiss violinist who is now almost 90, who told me in Switzerland some years ago that at the deathbed, Stefi Geyer gave him the autograph, please play, you should play the world premiere, and this was in 1958.
So she knew it was important that it be out
No,
in the
she knew
world.
it.
Yeah.
She knew it. It's a beautiful concerto, unbelievably beautiful. And yesterday, just coincidentally, I read it, that in the manuscript, autograph which he gave to the girl, at the very end he wrote in Hungarian, human soul can be much farther from each other than two stars on the sky.
Wow.
Now this was sad. He
Yeah.
knew it's finished.
Yeah.